And hello everybody, welcome to another show of Stay Awake. It's John Thomas Hill, your old buddy and pal, coming at you live in a living color from the great city of Rutherfordton, North Carolina. Population 7,500. Salute. Alright, the state of pro wrestling. Well, it's okay. WWE these days is PG, kid-friendly wrestling for the most part. John Cena is the big wrestler that all the kids love and all the ladies, well, almost all the ladies love, and all the grown men seem to despise. And while CM Punk is the cool, hip, bad guy that, you know, we're all supposed to boo, but in reality, we're all really cheering for, you know. Sorry, I had to take a little drink break there. And it's a very cool rivalry. John Cena is this era's Hulk Hogan, except he can actually move in the ring. Yes, he's got the 5 moves of doom, but at least he's much more mobile in the ring. I respect John Cena a hell of a lot more than I ever respected Hulk Hogan. Because unlike Hulk Hogan, John Cena can actually act, you know. But CM Punk could very well be one of the all-time greats. He could be the combination of Ric Flair and Macho Man Randy Savage of this generation. The guy that may not be the absolute top guy, but all the wrestlers in the know, all the wrestling fans in the know really know that CM Punk is the man. Why the hell is he not headlining WrestleMania? We've already seen Rock and John Cena. The only difference this time around is that it's outdoors in New York City, actually New Jersey, at the new Meadowlands Stadium or New Giant Stadium, whatever the hell they're calling it. MetLife Stadium, I think they're calling it now. And 2, it's for the WWE Championship. All well and good except for one thing. The Rock is leaving after WrestleMania to go do movies again. Do you seriously think Vince McMahon is going to let The Rock walk out of WrestleMania still with the WWE title? It's predictable. Cena's going to get the win. The fans are going to, pardon the expression, shit all over it. And it's the only saving grace could be a CM Punk Undertaker match. The only problem is the Undertaker even healthy enough to wrestle up to the Undertaker's own standards? Undertaker did a house show last weekend. We're what? We're a little less than, well, maybe about 4 weeks away, 4 weeks away from WrestleMania. And, you know, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but shouldn't the Undertaker be, you know, ready to go, getting this supposed feud in top gear, talking trash to CM Punk about how he doesn't respect CM Punk, how CM Punk doesn't respect the men who built the WWE. Honestly, I don't think WrestleMania is going to see the Undertaker this time around. Otherwise, the Undertaker would be around. WrestleMania really is the Undertaker's match these days. In his career, his only match is going to be at WrestleMania. He doesn't have that many left. And one of the few people he's not fought against is John Cena. CM Punk and Undertaker did have a feud a few years back for the WWE title. So we've kind of seen that. Now, that was years ago. CM Punk's become even more popular since then. And it may very well work this time around. But you got, if I could tell Vince what to do and Vince would listen to me, you put CM Punk in the Rock Cena match, you make it a 3-way elimination dance. And then you have The Rock lose the first fall and be eliminated. in a shocking move. He goes out, completely stunned, and then you let CM Punk and John Cena have an even better match than they had at Raw this past Monday night. Now, they're not going to do that because apparently lore says three-way main events usually don't work. 9 years ago, not a lot of people like to talk about it, but Benoit, Shawn Michaels, Triple H. That was a pretty good match, don't you think? That was a hell of a match. And yeah, we don't talk about it anymore because it's Chris Benoit winning, and we all know what Chris Benoit did. So, but yeah, it can work in the right circumstances, and this would be the perfect circumstances. The Rock doesn't like Cena. Cena doesn't like The Rock. CM Punk doesn't like either one of them. Both The Rock and Cena can't stand CM Punk. And it puts unpredictability into the match. Cena could still win, but with CM Punk in the mix, you don't know. Who's to say? Vince may decide to go, hey, let's give CM Punk the title again. And let's see John Cena chase after him until Super SummerSlam and John Cena can get the belt back. And then you could have CM Punk align with the Shield and Brock Lesnar and completely become their own version of this generation's Dangerous Alliance. Maybe even bring in Dolph Ziggler, maybe even bring in Jack Swagger or somebody like that. And just be completely dominant. Okay? When it comes to heels, they need to have stronger heels. You've got some very good heels. Wade Barrett really should be a bigger star than he is right now. And I don't know why they're not utilizing him as well as they should be. He's got a physical presence in the ring and cut great promos. He's a hell of a wrestler. In my opinion, they should give him a brief face run. Just to set up a real evil face turn, a heel turn down the road. Maybe even have him have second thoughts. Maybe even say he's had a change of heart and decides to become Del Rio's best buddy. And they tagged for a while and Wade Barrett becomes a good guy. And then just before SummerSlam, Wade Barrett sticks the knife into Del Rio's back and Wade Barrett decides, I'm going to challenge your sorry ass to the world title at SummerSlam. That could work. Now, Sheamus, I think, does pretty good as a heel, as a face, but I like him better as a heel. I think that before the year is out, we may see him turn. But then again, you know, the one guy who really should turn heel, besides John Cena, and that ain't going to happen anytime soon, is Randy Orton. Randy Orton's stale. Randy Orton looks like that he just does not really want to be there. He feels like he's underutilized. Randy Orton is a classic heel persona. And you've got him as a babyface. If I had the book in WWE, what I would do is when Cena beats The Rock, Randy Orton attacks John Cena at the end of WrestleMania. Completely lays him out. The next night on Raw, Randy Orton cuts a classic Randy Orton promo, completely turns heel, and challenges John Cena for the WWE title. That would be awesome. Dolph Ziggler's a guy that's really not broken through. He really needs to go out on his own. And what I think I would like to see for him is for eventually AJ and Big E Langston to stab him in the back. Maybe if Dolph Ziggler tries to cash in Money in the Bank, and just as he's about to beat Alberto Del Rio at WrestleMania, Big E Langston stabs him in the back. causing Dolph Ziggler to lose. That gets over Dolph Ziggler as a massive face, puts Big E Langston as a big heel. They feud for a while, and that elevates Dolph Ziggler's star because, quite frankly, Dolph Ziggler should be a bigger star than he is. And he would be a great baby face for a while. Then down the road, you can turn him heel, and he could be the next Ric Flair. He'll never be as big as Ric Flair, but he could be in a Ric Flair mode where he can seamlessly shift from being a face to a heel and keep the fans captivated. But what I would like to see, though, is they had a brief moment where it looked like the tag teams were coming back in the WWE, and now that's kind of fallen back. You got to bring them back. If for anything else, you've got plenty of talent that's not seeing a lot of time. Put them in tag teams. Develop stables. You know, bring back the manager. You've got guys who can talk. Paul Heyman, for one. Zeb Coulter, a.k.a. Dirty Dutch Mantel. Hell, you could put JBL out there as a manager. You got guys that can... Hell, Edge could manage. The good guys. Edge could manage. You know, but I think Edge is busier with his acting career, and basically trying to heal up his body. By the way, I'm shocked that Edge lives in Asheville, North Carolina, which is not too far from where I live. I found that out in this DVD. I'm like, damn, that's cool. But anyhow, overall, the WWE is in a better position than they were just a few years ago when, after WCW fell into the hands of Vince McMahon and ECW went bankrupt, things got stagnant. You had some good wrestling, but the fact was that people were tired of wrestling. We'd seen the Monday Night Wars. There was a winner, and Vince won. Why keep watching? Here's what needs to happen to bring back the glory days of professional wrestling. Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff need to retire. Leave TNA completely. You either have Paul Heyman or Jim Cornette take over TNA. Bring in a lot of young, fresh talent. Push them to the hilt. You're going to take your ratings and the beating in the ratings, but hell, you're taking the beatings and the ratings already to begin with. How low else can you go? Keep Kurt Angle around. Keep Jeff Hardy around, maybe, and probably Rob Van Dam. And probably Chavo Guerrero. You bring in lightweights, the cruiserweights. Push that as your new X division. Push tag teams. You've got the makings of some great storylines. But here's an even better one. Buy out the NWA. Buy out Ring of Honor. Call it NWA Ring of Honor Wrestling. And make it into the anti-WWE. More in-ring action. Fewer promos backstage. Treat it like it was a sport again. Everybody knows it's professional wrestling. It's not a quote-unquote real sport. But the aura that it's different would be huge. Ring of Honor does some very cool stuff. It's just, they don't really have much of a TV presence. They have a few syndicated deals on Sinclair-owned television stations across the country. They've got a following online. The NWA is in the flux right now. They're basically an organization that's still somehow around. If you get bought out and basically redevelop the territories. This is where Ted Turner really should come in and say, hey, I want to get back in the game. Buy Ring of Honor, buy the NWA, buy TNA Wrestling, merge all three together, bring back the developmental territories, get them TV deals with local regional networks, get these regional promotions to do wrestling every night, except on the night you've got Impact, Thursday night. And even then, hey, if you can do wrestling on Thursday night, you still got DVRs in this day and age. Promote the hell out of the shows. And then when TNA comes to town, NWA, Ring of Honor, whatever you want to call it, you have some local stars wrestle there. You have the stars of TNA or NWA, Ring of Honor, step down to the regional level and defend their title. Make the NWA World title mean something again. Merge the TNA World title with the NWA title again. It would be massive. All that history. It would be huge. It would take time, but it could work tremendously well. You just need somebody with some money and some power to do it. Now, and Ted Turner's getting up there in years. He's not a young man. But if Ted Turner had the right man to do it, he could make it work. And that would make wrestling better because A, you'd have an alternative. B, it would push Vince to improve his product. But the thing is, you don't want to destroy Vince McMahon. You want Vince strong. You need Vince strong. You need Vince to be pushing every button, going through all cylinders and everything else to make sure that wrestling is cool again. You've got plenty of talent on the independent scene. You've got plenty of talent in Japan, in Mexico, in Europe. Book it like that. Bring in all this talent. Old school is cool again. Do that. Bring back the Crockett Cup. Just don't name it the Crockett Cup. Call it something else. You can do a lot of things and make it work. And make it distinctly different from the WWE without looking like WCW Light, which is exactly what TNA looks like. We're sick of Hogan. We're sick of Bischoff. We're tired of it. Let Hogan do promotional stuff and occasionally cut a promo to promote an event or something like that. Eric Bischoff could do the same thing, be seen as Hogan's agent and be the good guys, be the guys that go out and meet with the fans and sign autographs and promote the hell out of TNA / Ring of Honor / NWA, whatever the hell you want to call it. That would be awesome. It ain't going to happen, though. Eventually, Dixie Carter's going to get sick and tired. Dixie Carter's dad owns a good chunk of TNA. Eventually, Dixie Carter's dad's going to go, you know what? I'm tired of spending all this money on TNA and not really getting a return on my investment. So I'm pulling the plug. Once that happens, it's done. That's why TNA is going out on the road, because they need to generate a lot of interest. Not to defeat and destroy the WWE, just to make sure people show up at their shows, to be seen as being somewhat close to the big leagues that the WWE is. Now, as for WWE, the WWE has been floundering for a long time. I wouldn't say floundering, but it's just not been meeting its potential. It all started back when Nitro ended, and you had the perfect setup, if you did it right, for a year-long invasion angle. Sure, you weren't going to get Ric Flair right off. You weren't going to get Goldberg and Nash and Hogan and Scott Hall and Lex Luger. But if you waited and slowly built it to where the WCW was just a faction, that Shane McMahon was trying to get a show, and Vince gets annoyed and says, okay, you can have Sunday Night Heat. Promote the WCW World title. And Vince goes, okay, you can have it. And not immediately just cast it as father versus son. You could have built that up until Survivor Series when you had Goldberg come out or Flair come out. You could have built this a hell of a lot longer. It would have been a slow-growing feud. And what you could have done is say, okay, Shane turns WCW into a faction. Recruits some stars, you know, from the WWE into their faction. Then Paul Heyman brings in ECW. Stephanie McMahon could still be the owner of ECW. It's just Stephanie is the person behind. You could have had ECW as the good guys, and you could have Paul Heyman saying, "We're not going to be extreme, but we're going to bring back wrestling to its old roots. We're going to be extreme by being old school, but by still having these brawls, still by having the hardcore stuff, but also hellacious wrestling." And you could have had these two building their stables and perhaps having their own little match at Survivor Series and build that up to the next WrestleMania in Toronto. But Vince rushed it. Vince rushed it and screwed himself up. Because WWE did not need to win. You could have WCW and ECW win. Shane and Stephanie turn on one another. Stephanie get Monday Night Raw. Shane gets SmackDown. And you could have had two different federations feuding with one another. And then eventually, you settle it at WrestleMania. And they're two distinct programs. ECW eventually phases out all the hardcore stuff, promotes the hell out of being hardcore wrestling, in the ring, tough nails wrestling. WCW is the more sports entertainment style because it's on network TV, or was it on network TV at the time. You have your draft, you have your free agents. Vince McMahon eventually comes back as a arbiter, or Linda McMahon's the arbiter between the two companies. She builds up the next WrestleMania as the ultimate showdown between the two companies. And then you have three main big-time pay-per-views. Survivor Series, SummerSlam, and WrestleMania. And you could probably bring King of the Ring back where you could have had a tournament for bragging rights. You know, whoever wins it gets an automatic shot at whatever title they want at SummerSlam. It would be your Royal Rumble for the summertime. But Vince, I don't know, through his own ego or through his lack of vision in this particular instance, missed the boat. He missed it again with ECW. ECW, the reincarnated version, should have eventually phased out hardcore wrestling anyway. But it should have stayed in smaller arenas, should have built on the passion of the fans like you see in ECW and Ring of Honor. You should have had a Paul Heyman stay a face and take wrestling back to the... You bring in the Lucha Libres and the Japanese wrestlers and have that as an alternative to sports entertainment. Vince could have had a pro wrestling show sandwiched between two sports entertainment shows. Eventually have it go to 2 hours on Sci-Fi. Or have a second show on the weekends, late at night. ECW, you know, uncensored or unfiltered or whatever, and have the ECW TV title back. But Vince made it into just another brand, and people were saying, "Hey, we've got two brands already. Why do we need a third? If it's the same damn thing," which is basically AAA baseball compared to the two major leagues. So ECW died a slow, painful death. And it really should not have died a slow, painful death. But there is hope. And that hope is in Vince keeping the two brands separate eventually. The world title, if you're going to have a world title and a WWE title, you might as well merge them. You can still keep the Intercontinental and U.S. titles. Hell, you could bring back the European title, the World Television titles if you want to. And have all these floating around. You could bring back tag titles. You can bring back Here's an idea. Bring back the U.S. Tag Team titles. And the team that has the U.S. Tag Team titles is automatically recognized as the #1 contenders to the World Tag Team titles. The U.S. champion is considered to be #2 contender for the world title. The Intercontinental title is #1. The U.S. title holder can challenge. The World TV title should be brought back. You can do it in a way that you have 10 minutes to beat the champion. But the champion has to wrestle on every TV show, regardless of opponent. Bring back the world titles. Ramp up the Divas division. Bring in real women's professional wrestlers, not these fashion models that can have some athleticism and look really hot and can halfway do an awful match. Fans are old enough to remember Lita and Trish and Ivory and Molly Holly and other female wrestlers who could actually work in the ring. A lot of those wrestlers are in TNA right now. You have Tara, who used to be Victoria in WWE. You had Gail Kim. You got Mickie James down there. You got ODB. You got plenty of great female wrestlers down there, which is probably the only thing that TNA has above head and shoulders above the WWE right now. But the fact is, wrestling is suffering because MMA has become so popular. But here's the thing. You can make wrestling popular again really quickly, attract the MMA crowd, even have Dana White and the MMA folks complement the performances and the athleticism of NWA, Ring of Honor, TNA, whatever the hell you want to call it. Promote the hell out of the difference of the fact that they're regional territories. Promote the regional shows. Promote the hell out of them. Make the NWA World title mean something again. Don't have the champion on every show. Make the American heavyweight title and the World TV title the main focal points, and the World Champion rarely wrestles. We'll cut the promos. He'll show up at the regional promotions and stay there for a little while and wrestle the big stars there and help build those up. You got hotbeds. You got Dallas, Memphis, Charlotte, Chicago, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, D.C. You've got Los Angeles. You've got Minneapolis. You've got Calgary and Toronto and other areas in this country. Louisville. Plenty of developmental territories. Birmingham, Atlanta. It would be huge. Awesome. It's going to take somebody with some money to get it done. And it would be lovely if it could happen, because it would mean that Vince McMahon would have to step his game up, and when Vince McMahon is challenged, he tends to come through. We saw that in the Attitude Era. We saw that when stars like Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Triple H, The Undertaker, and Mankind, among others, Kane, really step up their game. We saw the mid-card go from being an afterthought to being a strength again. And they were able to bring in some WCW guys to really push the boundaries. And that's what needs to happen. If WCW were still around, the product would be even better, because the WCW would be challenging the WWE. Unfortunately, it's not. Well, folks, that's Stay Awake for tonight. We'll try and catch you back tomorrow night. Good night, good luck. May the good news be yours.